already that we are not going to go very deep into what Agile is, but let's just make sure that we are on the same page about the terms. So what is Agile in general? Usually it is described by Agile Manifesto, which has 4 values and 12 principles, and that's probably the only official definition of what Agile is. The important thing here is that Agile is the mindset, the approach to work, the way of working, philosophy if you want, but not a framework. I hate when people say Agile methodology because it is not a methodology. It does not tell you how exactly to do things, exactly to do work. It's more about the general approach to work, the way of thinking about work and your customers. So what usually characterizes Agile teams and Agile organizations? For me, there are a few things here. First of all, this is customer centricity. So we want to really get to know who our customers are, what they want, what are their pain points, what are their needs, and we want to really get close to understanding what those needs are and deliver maximum of customer value. So this is number 1, customer centricity. Number 2 is team ownership. Again, this is my definition and some people might disagree, but I don't want to stick just to Agile Manifesto because in my opinion, this is a little bit too limited and a little bit too software orientated, while Agile is currently applied outside of software. So number 2 is ownership, where we are talking about the team owning product end to end. When I say product, it can be taken broadly. So it can be a tangible product, it can be a piece of software, it can be a feature, a part of the product, it can be a service, it can be internal product or service. So the critical part here is end-to-end ownership. So the team gets to make all the decisions about this product, gets to experiment, gets to take responsibility for the results delivery. So we want to have cross-functional teams to be able to do that. We want to have people with different specialization, different skills in one team, and we want to control the whole process from the beginning to the end, from the ideation to the actual delivery. 3 is iterative approach. So we usually compare Agile with waterfall. So waterfall is when we have clear stages, right? So we go from the planning, we create a plan, a Gantt chart, a project plan, then we do some sort of design, then we do some sort of implementation, maybe coding, maybe manufacturing the product, and then we probably do some sort of testing and we deliver it to the client, to the customer. In Agile, we take iterative approach, meaning that we don't try to create a perfect product in one go, but instead we start with some sort of MVP, minimum viable product, or maybe a prototype, and we present this to our customer. We get the feedback, we learn what they like, what they dislike, and then we go and we do another iteration and we try to get closer and closer to delivering the maximum customer value, to delivering what exactly the customer wants. So this one is a little bit tricky because you can't really do it with any kind of product. Sometimes you do need to have this waterfallish process, but as a team, we try to incorporate this iterativity, learning from feedback, responding to customers' needs as much as we can. This iterativity also means that we try to avoid setting schedules, deadlines, etc. for ourselves. Of course, we have a plan. Of course, we have a roadmap. Of course, we try to understand at which pace we are going to deliver what we are producing. But we try not to limit ourselves to the schedule and budget, but instead we just focus on scope because our goal is prioritizing, maximizing the value delivery to the customer. And if we do it 2 days later than planned, who cares? But if we deliver on time, but we reduce the scope and we don't deliver enough value, that's going to be a problem for our business. And finally, number 4, again, this is my definition, but this is experimentation. So agile teams really want to experiment because we don't know what exactly the customers want. Of course, we can ask them, and of course, we do ask them. But, people lie. People sometimes don't know what they want. People assume that this is what they are going to want, but in reality, then they don't really buy when you give it to them. So we built a hypothesis. We try to make assumptions about the customers, and then we go and we experiment and we learn from our mistakes, and we build this psychological safety in our team in order to enable this kind of learning, this kind of experimentation, because in any experiments there are only 2 possible outcomes. In general, we fail or we succeed, right? It's not very scientific terms, but we can fail in our experiments, and we need to be able to embrace it and use those failures as learnings and keep on growing, keep on learning, and keep on delivering customer value. So this is Agile in a nutshell. This is, again, the set of principles, the way of thinking, the way of operating a business. Now, inside Agile, we have a bunch of frameworks which organize your work, which tell you how exactly to do your work, to run your processes, to organize a team in order to achieve all of that. We do have certain tools, we do have certain artifacts, certain ceremonies, certain roles. In different frameworks, those roles, ceremonies are combined in different ways, and we actually can mix and match and use different tools and frameworks all together. And there are a lot of those elements that we are going to talk about throughout this course. Now, when we talk about business agility, this is all about how we incorporate agile ways of working into business, into a company. And in a nutshell, it's pretty simple. If we look into any of Agile framework, it tells us exactly how to organize processes in a team. So how to set up the team, whom to include, how to organize the processes, how to organize the backlog, the list of to-dos, how to prioritize the work, how to plan it, how to deliver, how to communicate with customers, etc., etc. Within one team, it's not that easy, I would say, but it's relatively simple. However, if we talk about the whole organization, how do we enable that? How do we make sure that each of those teams play well with each other, share the toys, and run together towards the same shared goal? How do we ensure that people are able to grow professionally? How we ensure that people are getting their performance evaluated properly? How do we organize financial planning and planning overall if we are getting rid of schedules and milestones and deadlines? Oh, and by the way, in Agile teams, usually there are no managers, so there is no such thing as team manager. We're not getting rid of managers, and I'll talk more about that in later sections. We still have leaders in Agile organization, but they're not the ones who come to teams and tell them what to do. So each team would be deciding on their own, setting their own goals on their own. How do we make sure that those goals are all aligned together? This is where business agility comes into play, and this is more than just scaled Agile framework. This is about organizing the company, structuring all the processes, and rethinking the roles of the leadership, for example, the processes that are ran on the company level. And this is why Agile transformation is so complex, because it's not just about teaching every single team how to do daily stand-ups, how to do the planning meetings. This is about transforming the whole organization, changing the organizational structure, changing many different processes, and bringing them to the level where they can run automatically, where they don't need someone to tell them how to do things, and where all the processes are ran smoothly and everything is nicely organized. And on top of that, the company keeps on improving, keeps on learning, and keeps on getting better and better on its own without an agile coach present. So this is what we are going to learn in this course. This is what we are going to dive deep into. How to enable this, how to create such organization, how to transform, how to go from very slow, bureaucratic, conservative kind of company to very agile startup, like moving fast kind of company. I hope now we are on the same page about what agility is, what agile means, and what business agility means. In the next lesson, we are going to talk about the purpose of agile transformation. I will see you there. Talk about the purpose of agile.